Hi, I'm Casey Doyle. I'm the Sustainability Manager for the Village of Oak Park, and I'm pleased to be here to talk to you about a new project that we're working on, something that's been in the making for quite some time, but dovetails really nicely with what the mayor was talking about. This is called Smart City USA, and I think our former president, David Pope, has spoken to you a little bit about it prior to the weekend, but it does take that information that the mayor was talking about and really brings it into the home and allows your home to be smart, to act even when you're not there. So let's go through some of the details of it. The slide here says an international smart grid collaboration. Just a little background on how this started. We had 20,000 smart meters put into our village here by ComEd in 2010 as part of their smart meter pilot program. And at the time, those communities that were part of the pilot, there were 9 of them, were invited to the statewide smart grid collaborative meetings. These meetings were really about the utility, explaining what it is they were trying to do, the different interested parties, trying to influence how that was going to be deployed, and several of us were there to find out what were the customer benefits going to be out of this big grid rollout. Because all we heard at the time was, oh, you can turn it on and off the meter. Well, that's great for the utility, but what does that mean for the customer? So as we began talking about those things, the village of Oak Park kept putting itself out there as a test bed. We wanted to bring some of these new technologies to Oak Park, and we kept inviting different companies, utilities to come and try their projects here in Oak Park. And that finally someone finally took us up on it. CUB and some other organizations in Illinois were talking with the Korean Smart Grid Institute. They had devised a pilot program on Jeju Island back in 2009 to showcase what their technologies could do to bring smart grid to the home. So beyond the meter, what can happen inside the home that will automate and digitize your energy use so that you're seeing it real time, and then maybe what can your appliances do automatically in response to that information. And they wanted to bring that model to the United States to showcase not only the software but also some of the actual hardware and how this works. And I think David Pope may have described to you the process of how that happened over a 2-year period. We hosted the Korean Smart Grid Institute several times from I think a pool of 288 communities that they were looking at. They finally decided to locate the project here at Oak Park. I think one of the attractions was not only the progressive mentality of our officials and our senior staff, but also the fact that we were in an urban area. Jeju Island is kind of like their resort town. They're kind of like their Hawaii. So it was a little bit more rural, and they really wanted to test their model on what it would look like in apartment buildings, what it would look like in a compact urban scenario. So over here, from the Oak Park side of things, I think the reason why we were really interested in exploring smart grid technology was our own aging infrastructure. We had become acutely aware of how vulnerable our town was when some of these larger storms started coming through. I think we all have stories about the local impacts of climate change. We were feeling it here in terms of severe and frequent storm events that would knock our power out the whole town. And the amount of time it took to get back online and the amount of money that was lost as a result. We have stories of small businesses, our restaurants, for example, losing 3 months' income because their entire inventory thawed in 3 days' time. And so it was something that really, I think, struck us as a need to become more resilient in the electric infrastructure area. The new technologies had a lot of promise in terms of creating redundancy and self-healing. I think that there was At the time, a big learning curve on what that meant, but I think we're all brought up to speed, especially thanks to the mayor, his description of how that can really create a situation where you're almost never out of power. It was really important to hear. It's something that we are striving for. And then something else that's really important for us is the integration of renewables, this idea of distributed generation, where you're bringing that ability to generate your own power, to offset your bill, to have your building operate when there is an outage in your area. All of that was very attractive to us. And I went through this a little bit. You were also given a tour of the substation today, and that kind of builds into the idea of, smart grid is more than just the meter. It's more than just the wire, redundancy wires. It's how does your substation work? What kind of solid state technology and communication do you have so that the back office is detecting problems before they actually happen, so they can reroute that energy. And I think, as you heard this weekend, Oak Park has become the test bed for ComEd's Innovation Corridor, and as a result, the fostering relationships that we were doing during the test bed program resulted in an offer of having Smart City USA come to Oak Park. So here's the proposed plan that will increase reliability and provide sources of income to the homeowner who can pay for this, and then also create a revenue source for the village of Oak Park. What's going to happen is over the next 3 years, we're going to be putting a second meter inside the homes and using that meter as the communication device. We're going to be building a network operating center very similar to what Tallahassee has, in that it will be able to aggregate the information from these 200 homes, allow the network operating center to communicate back and forth to these homes, send messages, and that type of thing. And then in addition, each of these homes will get a 3-kilowatt panel system with a solid-state battery storage system in the basement that will allow the home to store that energy when it's not being used. The network operating center will be able to access that stored power and actually sell that back to the PJM market, our energy market here, during frequency regulation events. Those are the events where the utility needs to keep its power at a certain level, and they will pay a premium for those entities that can respond to their request for energy. So that's the kind of model that we're looking at in terms of creating a first source of revenue. The second source of revenue, of course, would be being able to sell any extra power right back to the grid system. And this is what it would look like. We have access points on telephone poles that connect the home to the network operating center in Village Hall. And the messaging can go, both ways. There has been talk about creating an app, so I'm glad there's some people already working on that project. We hope to take advantage of that. That would be great. And the funding commitments to make this happen have come from 2 sources. This is a collaborative between the Korean Smart Grid Institute, which includes the Korean Ministry of Knowledge Economy. Their funds will match what we receive in grant money from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. That entity is interested in forwarding local technology that will increase energy efficiency as well as renewables. And then you might ask what the Village of Oak Park's role would be in this. We really are a facilitator between the 2 entities, the state of Illinois companies and the Korean companies. Will be the grant applicant and administrator of those grants. A big part of our job is going to be community outreach. Like the mayor said, communication with your residents and businesses is vital. They need to be with you all along the way. And so we consider that to be a major piece of our responsibility. We'll be starting our resident recruitment this fall. We're having them fill out a short survey, and then we'll receive those surveys. If it's a situation where we're oversubscribed. There are more residents interested in participating than there are available slots. We'll probably do a lottery system to make it fair. And then we'll also be in charge of project management. And that's my presentation. Thank you.